Okay, Jonathan. Well, we're going to go ahead. I'm pretty positive I got both lines merged here, so people will be able to hear us on this call. So we're really excited about that. So that's the part about being having a successful teleconference that people don't talk about.
Well, with all the technology problems we have in Hawaii with phones and stuff, at first I thought it was me, but then I realized that it's such a successful teleconference that we're out of room. So anyway, I'm really honored to be on, and I just want to thank you for making me part of the big seminar. And to everybody who's listening to this, I want to thank you for being on the call. I'm just blown away that so many people want to hear what I have to say, and so I've got a lot of good information for you, and really looking forward to talking today.
Sounds great. Well, Jonathan, what I always like to do is I like people to understand kind of the background of our speakers that are going to be with us at the big seminar. So they have a clear understanding that where you started from and kind of what brought you onto the internet, and then I want to get into some of the things that you're doing today online.
Okay.
So let's talk about this. I mean, prior to the internet, what kind of actual job did you have?
Well, I came from, it's funny, a lot of people in the internet business come from the insurance industry, and that's the business that I came from originally. I was doing insurance sales, and we actually were doing life and health and property casualty insurance, which is like fire insurance and liability and things like that. And I really hated a couple of aspects of it. I didn't like the industry at all, and I didn't like the people that I worked with, and I didn't like my boss, and I didn't like the work and all the other stuff, and I hated more than anything else. The insurance industry is an industry that is just, when I was back into it, which was back in the 80s and the 90s, it's just like tailor-made for computers and automation, and they just refused to automate stuff. They have this philosophy, and I don't know if it's the same way today, but they have this philosophy that, if you're not working hard, then, it's not real work. And so I just really disliked the industry, but I was very lucky to work at a direct response insurance agency. And, please don't think that this was, the big direct response, great marketing system or anything. We had a good system, and even though we were direct response, we were still insurance. But what really caught my eye was the fact that we could use direct response advertising, primarily direct mail. This was pre-internet, telemarketing, postcard mailing, things like that, to generate a whole bunch of leads. And then every day we generate a bunch of leads, and we turn those leads into sales. And I just got taken with the fact that there were sales letters and there were sales processes that we could implement, and we could create business almost out of thin air. And so I basically got out of that business, I think it was 1993. I was politely asked by my boss to find another career. And it was very mutual. I mean, I was ready to leave, and they were ready to have me leave. And so I started my own company. I started Cyberwave Media back in 2003. And I started fooling around with direct mail. I started with BBSs and AOL and CompuServe, and basically just using what we call the two-step method of marketing.
I just want to make sure. I just want to clarify something. Because you said 2003. I believe you meant 1993.
I'm sorry, yes, 1993.
I was thinking, Jonathan, you've been online longer than a year.
This was about 11 years ago.
Okay.
I at the time, we were using just two-step ads. And what two-step ads are, for people who don't know, it's when you put an ad in a magazine or a newspaper or a bulletin board or a classified area, and you simply collect leads. You just say something like, discover the easiest way to promote your business, or to use a non-internet business, discover the easiest way to paint your house or the easiest way to buy real estate. Free report reveals the simplest way to build a deck, and increase the value of your home or whatever. And at the time, we were using these two-step ads to promote a book on how to market, actually, using direct mail. And I used a lot of the examples that I got from the insurance industry and a lot of the case studies and a lot of the experience to really create kind of a process for marketing using direct mail, but getting the leads off of the internet. You have to understand, Armin, this was before the web.
Right.
I mean, back then, Yahoo was not at yahoo.com. It was at Stanford University.
Right.
And the URL was stanford.edu, and then there was a little tilde, the little squiggly thing, Yahoo. I mean, this was before domain names. This was really before everything. Yahoo back then was a links list, and so in order to really market, we had to use this as a lead capturing device and then use some alternate method to get the sales message out. So we used direct mail, and it turned out that process worked superbly well, and that's pretty much the process that we kept throughout the entire, first part of our business.
That sounds great. And now let me ask you this. I mean, now that was in 1993 when you first got online, started doing that. Now, people think on the internet that strategies tend to change like people change their socks on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And now, but here's a question, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this. Now, that same strategy, that same two-step approach, I mean, does that work still on the internet today?
Absolutely. Certain things have changed, right? There's new techniques, there's new ways, there's new technologies. But the primary method is to capture interested prospects, to follow up with them until they buy, and then to create a sales process that works the back end and gives them different products throughout the course of their life as your customer to actually purchase so that they can achieve whatever it is, whatever goal it is that they're looking to achieve. And if you are looking at the internet as, iframe pop-ups or, to use your popover generator as an example, there are people out there and they say, I just got Armin's popover generator and now I'm going to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Or I just added audio to my website and now I'm going to make money.
Right.
And you and I both know that if it wasn't making money before, if you didn't have a process or a system or a blueprint, it doesn't matter how many tricks and gimmicks and little things that you add to your website, none of them are going to make money. All those things, especially the tools that you've developed, are really revenue enhancers.
Exactly.
And what's fascinating is for people who don't get it, they can implement every one of those tricks and techniques and everything. They don't make a lick more cash. For people who do get it, every time they do that, they see we'll call it a marginal increase in conversion rate, like 0.1% here, 0.25% there, 0.5% there. All those things start to really add up, and in many cases, and I'll just use the example of audio, we took a site where we added audio to it, and I really did not know what would happen. I was almost a skeptic, and I was hoping to prove everybody wrong, saying, well, this won't increase response. And it increased response by about 30%, or a third of what we were getting. I mean, I couldn't believe that the audio works so well. And all the other little things that we do are really enhancements, but they're enhancements to a core strategy.
Right.
And so one of the things I'm really going to be talking about is the core strategies, the blueprints that people can use in order to take a website and turn it from a money loser into a money maker, or a money maker into an outrageous money maker, or basically, use these techniques, use this process, which we have partially developed, and some of which we just got from, studying the direct marketing of the ages, to really create a powerhouse of a business. I just want to say something too. You're so nice. I mean, you just say that I'm, the greatest marketer and like I'm a hero or something. And I'm honored that you feel that way. To me, though, the real heroes are not the guys like me. I just help people implement ideas. The real heroes are the guys out there listening to the call who implement the ideas, who actually go out and who use the stuff to make gobs and gobs of cash. And for anybody listening to this wondering, gosh, is this going to be a bunch of newbies at the seminars? I am just shocked at the quality and intensity of the people who come to Big Seminar. I mean, you've got some real significant players and some very, very successful marketers. I mean, guys who are making I mean, millions and millions of dollars a year, which to me is heroic. Because it's easy to teach this stuff. It's hard to go out and implement it and get off your butt. And so, while I'm honored to be considered one of the grand masters of marketing, the real masters are the guys listening to the call who are going to take the information and do something with it. Those are the guys that I really admire.
And it's so true. I was at a conference recently this weekend, and I talked for about 2 minutes on a subject that I think is probably the most important things that I've told people. Yeah, and that is that the majority of the people, even on this call right now, won't do anything, which is the sad part. But the people that do are the ones that are going to become successful online. It's not a matter of it's not a matter of, like you said, it's not all the tricks, it's not all the tactics, so to say. It's usually the time proven principles that will work. But the point is that you actually have to work them. They don't work by themselves.
Yes, I know. Well, I'll tell you what's funny is that, and this is how I really knew that the big seminar had the right kind of people in it for me to go to and for a lot of the clients and stuff and people that we've recommended. And it's not just me. I mean, this happened to me, but I'm sure it happened to Stephen Pierce. I'm sure it happened to you. I'm sure it happened to Alex. I'm sure it'll happen to Yannick. I'm sure it happens to everybody. After my talk at the last big seminar, we had people who stopped what they were doing, and they went up to their room, and they implemented one of the simple ideas that they had learned from the speaker. And, Armin, they had results the next day. I mean, people were coming back. One guy came back to me, and actually it was a woman, and she had her son with her, and I don't know if she's on the call now, but she said, we tried that name squeeze technique. My son threw a little site up last night, started to throw some traffic into it. My God, you're right. 50% of the people opted in. And this was a woman who was getting like 8 or 10 or 15% opt-in before, and she was just shocked. And I'll tell you what, as shocked as she was, I was doubly shocked because most of the people I taught that to didn't do anything. She stopped what she was. She didn't go and, hang out at the bar that night or fool around, with other marketers and stuff. I mean, not that there's not great networking. She had this bug up her butt to do this thing. She wanted to get this thing done. She wanted to see whether or not this process would work. She and her son went up. They implemented the thing. The next day they had results. That's heroic. That's cool.
Implementation to me is the key, and people wonder why, how I create product after product. It's not the fact that I'm any better or work any faster. Well, it might be because I do work faster. But but one of the things is implementation. One of the keys truly is implementation, and I totally agree. And let's just talk about that if you don't mind.
Sure.
About that same strategy that you just described. That strategy. And this is something I think everyone should write down. Just kind of give everyone a quick overview of that concept.
Well, basically, in the old days, we used to send them to a web page, and we might put an opt-in form on the site, and then hopefully they'll opt into our newsletter or e-zine or whatever. And then we got a little bit more sophisticated, and we sent them to the site, and if they bought, then they went through the normal process. But if they didn't buy, we used an exit pop-up. And the exit pop-up would ask them to give their name and email address, and then it would put them on a follow-up system. Well, what we did is we said, this 5, 10, 15% opt-in rate, that's great, but gosh, I wonder how we could really boost that up. So now what we do is we send them to the site itself. We send them to the opt-in form right off the bat. And, almost all of our sites are like that now. The rollout site, the testandtrack.com, all of them use some variation of that. We call it the name squeeze process because it's like a juicer that you put your visitors in, and it squeezes the names out of them. And I don't know if they heard it from me, but I was at a site recently, and I clicked on a banner ad for the Republican National Committee, and good God, they were using the name squeeze technique. Before you could get into the site, you had to give your name and email address to just view what they were trying to tell you. And I'm not partisan or political. I mean, hey, I live in Hawaii, where I'm a member of the Aloha Party. But one thing I thought of was, boy, if the Democrats don't use name squeeze and the Republicans do, I feel very sorry for the Democrats. Or anybody who is sitting around looking at a 5 or 10 or 15% opt-in rate saying, well, this is great. Because basically, if someone comes to your website through a search engine or an endorse mailing or a link, they're interested in the topic, whether it's about, hummingbird feeders or building Japanese rock gardens or buying real estate on foreclosure or whatever. They have an interest. They wouldn't have clicked the ad or the link or done the search if they weren't interested. And so all you're doing is and Alex Mandosian calls this the shy yes. You're just asking for a shy yes. You just say, hey, if you're interested in this, I have some free information I'm going to give you. Just fill out your name and email, and you'll be taken immediately to the site, and then I'll follow up with some more information by email. And you can remove yourself at any time. And I talked to a techie guy yesterday, and I said, what percentage people do you think fill that out? And he said, well, I'd have to say probably just about zero. I said, that's what I thought, too. I truly expected we'd have a 0% opt-in rate, that people would just look at it and say, go away. But we have seen as high as 90% opt-in, and the average is about 50%. And even people who are in highly technical categories where they're, anti-marketing and I don't like, email and things like that, even those people have seen an increase from 10 or 20 to, like 30, 40%. And so all it does is just capture the name beforehand. And I'll tell you what, it's such a slick process and it's so simple. You don't need to complicate it. You just put your opt-in form up on your homepage or whatever page you're driving the traffic to, and then the confirm page or the success page or the thank you page or whatever you want to call it, after they opt in, bang, takes them to your sales letter. And then, there's another good part about it too, actually. If someone fills out the form with the name and email address, they're, 2 out of 5 fields away from filling out your full order form and buying your product. Plus, you can follow up with them again and again. So,
well, one of the things that I think, I truly believe that it's a powerful technique in order to capture names. Obviously, to build a list at the same time, it's a surefire way to build a list at the same time that you are getting people to look at your product and your sales letter, and so the list is very solid of people that are interested in what you have to offer. But now here's the other part, and I've been looking at this, and I was using myself as an example because I know how I feel is that by limiting the number of people, many people feel that, well, but I'm going to get less people looking at my sales letter.
Right. Absolutely.
And my answer is, so?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. If someone is, there have been times when I've run into name squeeze, and I'm not going to go any further. And, it's on a competitor or somebody else's site.
Sure.
But I had to stop myself, and I said, gosh, no, I wouldn't go forward. And then I thought, well, duh, I'm not going to buy. I just want to see what he's got. Sure. I'm here to find out, do a little competitive intelligence. I wasn't going to give him my email address. And then I thought, well, gosh, the people who are going to buy clearly fill it out. The people who don't buy, well, they're not going to fill it out. They're not going to see the letter. And in some ways, you completely eliminate from their brain the whole sales process that you've put together. They just think, not for me, got to go. And what's nice is the little tweak that we got from it, and I can't remember if Stephen Pierce came up with this tweak or if I came up with it or somebody else or Alex or someone else did, is if they leave without putting their email address in there and their name, we just have an exit pop-up. We pop up the page. So we've completely reversed the process. In the old days, we send them to the page, and if they don't buy, we pop up the opt-in. Now, we send them to the opt-in page. If they don't opt in, we pop up the sales letter. So they're going to get the letter anyway, one way or another.
Now, but I think, to me, one of the reasons that they're doing that people won't do it, because many people you've told them it works, certainly I know it works. We've done it on several different sites. And the reason why most people won't put it in implementation on a global basis is just fear.
Yeah, it's true. And there have been like one or two examples. I guarantee you, though, if you're listening to this call and you're saying, "Oh, it's my example. It won't work with a parrot book, or it won't work with a how to install hardwood flooring book, or it won't work with how to make money in real estate book," hey, it'll work. Okay, try it and see. And if you don't get addicted to the names, I'll be very surprised. I'm going to give you a case study here because this one's shocking. We had a client that we told to start doing this 10 months ago. He started doing it right before actually the last big seminar. And we were collecting names at a huge clip. And he does a lot of email and banners and all kinds of stuff and pop-ups and gets a lot of traffic into the site. And he was nervous and reluctant at first. And I said, you know what? We're just going to try it. And if it doesn't work, we'll take it out. But it worked everywhere else. We tried it. This guy is now making an extra $10,000 a month, and his opt-in list. I mean, I just can't believe it. It is 177,000 names
Whoa.
in 10 months. Now, these are not co-reg names. These are not names that he traded. These are not names that, he did some easing swap thing or whatever like that. These are real people who really came to the website, who really gave their email, who really gave their name, who really are interested. Would you say that is a hot list or an average list?
Oh, I would say it's a hot list.
I mean, it makes so much money. It is unbelievable. An extra $10,000 a month coming in just because this guy implemented Name Squeeze, and he's got a follow-up process. So, that's only one. I've actually got 8 things I'm going to cover at the seminar.
Well, let's just talk about one of the things that I think is extremely important on that Name Squeeze page.
Okay, yeah, because actually, this is one thing that you implement, and it's just Name Squeeze. If you listen to this call and you're like, I don't even know if I can come to the seminar or whatever, for whatever reason, and I just want to get something out of it, if you just get one thing, this will change your life. Go ahead.
One of the things I think that what makes it will determine how once you set up the process and you already know that this works. I'm getting email addresses, and let's just assume that you're maybe getting a 30 or 40% conversion rate as far as people coming to your page. Well, now the key is that if you tweak the ad copy and make it more appealing, make it more tempting, all of a sudden your conversion rate's going to go up just by writing some better ad copy. Again, like you said earlier, in taking the basic principles that are known to work, which is your ad copy, which is if we know we have good ad copy, that it will increase the amount of responses as well. So definitively if your ad copy sucks or not.
Well, you're absolutely right. There's 2 great elements, and you just touched on the first one. The first one is if you wanted to test a headline, test it on your Name Squeeze page, because you can very clearly see whether more people are going to opt in or not. I mean, this is a free offer, so, right, a Name Squeeze is a free offer. It's a fill this out and you'll get free information, right? I mean, at its most basic level, that's what it's all about. So if you wanted to test headlines and, you need X number of actions, X number of sales, you need a certain amount of traction in order to test a headline or something. But if you wanted to test different headlines, test them out on your Name Squeeze page. You'll very clearly see where your hot topic is. John Reese says, I think it's 30 actions. I tend to look at maybe 40 or 50 actions opt-ins.
I use 40.
40, yeah. I like 40 or 50 opt-ins, just to see whether or not there's enough people actually clicking on it and interested in it. But you can just use this as a headline test. I mean, it's unbelievable. Track both pages and see which headlines wins. The headline that wins on your Name Squeeze page is the same headline that's going to win on your sales letter, just guaranteed. And then there's another thing, too, and that is, and this is actually how we started. I started to go back and try to figure out where this thing came from. Was my friend Scott Colbert taught me this trick, and we were getting a lot of traffic. This was back in 1998, I guess 1999. We're doing a lot of ads, maybe 2000, doing a lot of advertising and stuff. And sometimes they'd pay and sometimes they wouldn't. And I said, gosh, Scott, I just don't know which ones of these ads are going to pay off. I mean, it's so hard. Sometimes I'll run an ad and it just won't make any money at all. And he'll say, well, just drive it into an opt-in form. And you can tell if the traffic's junky because they won't buy, they won't opt in, they won't do anything.
Right.
And he says, but if they opt in and don't buy, then you know the problem's on your sales letter. I'm like, wow. So I can almost use this as a traffic test. I can use this as a method to see whether or not there's any interest at all in what I'm trying to sell, if there's any interest at all in the offer that I'm trying to promote, just by running them through a little opt-in form. And if they don't opt in, man, I'm way off the mark. If they opt in but they don't buy, the sales letter's off the mark. If it all works, then I make money.
You know, and that's the thing I think a lot of new people on the Internet don't understand is that the Internet itself is not a guessing game.
No.
It's probably the most scientific business I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, actually, you're totally right. It's not as simple, but it's a process. I mean, there are steps to it. You know, it's a very unforgiving medium if you don't have all the parts of the puzzle. But, you know, it's kind of like we were talking recently, I don't know if it was you and I talking about email promotions, and I'm like, man, you know, there's 100 things that you can screw up, and if you screw up one of them, you don't make any money. You know, if everything is good, if your headline's great and your offer's great, but you know, your tracking link isn't working, or if everything is perfect but your guarantee isn't there, or your testimonials aren't strong enough, or your subject line isn't good, or your sales copy on the teaser ad, it's like it just doesn't work. And that's true with the Internet as a whole. There is a process that you have to basically put together, and if you get it 90% right, that last 10% is going to keep you from making money. And so, you know, but if you understand, if you know the process, if you know all the steps that you have to do, and here's the key, and you can measure them along the way, you can tell where your deficiencies are. You can tell where your weaknesses are, and you just say, gosh, I just fixed that thing. Just like we just talked about with namespace. Well, gosh, I got all these people coming through Google AdWords. I got all these people clicking on the link. I got all these people opting in. Oh, they didn't buy. Okay, well, our problem is with the sales letter. Okay, I got all these people clicking, but nobody's opting in. Oh, okay, I better change my headline. And so you're so right. The Internet is inherently trackable. It's inherently scientific, and yet most people don't track. Most people don't do it properly. And most people, I hate to say it, they have it 90% right, but they screw up that last 10% and they don't make any money.
Well, you know, by testing and tracking, which I know you've done a product recently with Alex Mondosian.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's kind of like this, kind of like a decathlon. Okay, you have 10 different events, and that's basically your overall business itself. Now, it's a one-person decathlon, so all you have to do is cross the finish line and you're going to win. Mm-hmm. But the key is that because it's a decathlon, you know exactly which part you need to work on if you can't make it to the finish line. It's because I couldn't swim. It's because I couldn't ride a bike. It's because I couldn't run.
But you know the beauty of that is on a decathlon you really are screwed. On the Internet you just hire a swimmer.
Yeah, it's like a pinch swimmer.
Right. and you can identify if you know the steps. In fact, the smartest business people that I know don't know, you know, how to change a alt tag or you know. I asked Yannick Silver recently. No, it was actually about a year ago. I said, "Hey, do you know how to FTP?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, how do you FTP? How do you change your site?" He said, "Well, I just call my webmaster."
Right.
And I said, "Wow, man, you know, you really should learn how to FTP." And he said, "Well, I think I probably make more money than you." And I laughed and said, "You know, you probably do." And I think my FTP ability and all the other technical nonsense that I somehow struggle with, that, you know, created this monster of technology in my office. In your office, you want to roll something out, you call someone, you hire them, you do it. And that's the one thing I really learned from you. It's just farming out different aspects of the business that you're either not good at or that you don't like.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I use Yannick as an example all the time.
Yeah.
I really do because, and you know, I can do all this stuff, and because that's the way I started. But the fact is that, you know, if I had to as someone asked me which is the better way, Yannick's is the better way.
Yes.
Because I'm getting involved in this technical BS that I shouldn't even be. I should just be able to concentrate my focus on marketing, which is, I think, what everyone on this call should do. Because most of the people on this call right now, in my opinion, having talked to many of them and exchanged emails, is that they're stuck in technical limbo.
Yes, absolutely. And because they think that they have to do it all themselves. And, the problem is many people, maybe not those on this call, I think we've got a much more sophisticated group here, many people just don't have the proper capital to start a business. And so if you don't have enough money to hire someone, even a little high school kid, I mean, God, there's so many high school and college kids out there for $5 or $10 an hour. They'll build you a web page or a mini site or whatever, or help you FTP. There's just no excuse for it unless you really don't have the money. And if you don't have, a few bucks to basically get started, you probably shouldn't be in the business. I mean, I hate to say it, but the fact is it does take a little bit of capital. It does take a little bit of smarts. And, if you're spending your rent money, which is another big problem with the industry, there's so many people who think that the way to make money is to write an e-book about how to sell e-books so you can make money, so you can teach other people how to write an e-book so that they can teach other people, and then so on and so on and so on. And, look at Armand. I mean, where's your money-making e-book, Armand?
I don't think I have one.
You don't have one because you're smart. I mean, you develop a whole different line of products. Really, your market is a lot more like our market, which is business owners with websites. I mean, that's really who I talk to. That's really what I focus on is tools and techniques for real business owners with websites, as opposed to that making money by writing an e-book about how to make money, to start an affiliate program, to sell other people so they can, I mean, it's this endless loop of nonsense. And especially now, I just responded to somebody, my dander's up a little bit, just responded to somebody on a discussion board, and they're like, I can't make money. And, you go to their site, and their site is about how to make money on the Internet.
Right.
And not only is that psychically, universally, and spiritually wrong,
right.
but the universe can tell that you're not making money, and it's not going to throw people your way. You can't fake it until you make it. I mean, I guess you can, but
not when you're dealing with actual information not when you're dealing with real information that can be tested and tracked.
I look at Frank Kern is going to be a speaker, and I just want everybody to listen to Frank. Really is a smart guy, and he just recently came up with this process that he's going to talk about, which is that underachiever method.
Right.
And I don't think any his products are about how to make money on the Internet.
None, zero.
I keep stumbling over them. I'm like, what's this parrot buck? And what's this hummingbird thing?
Right.
I mean, I'm like, this is crazy. And you know what? Not only, if you're going to go head-to-head against Internet marketers, you're dealing with a lot of people who have more money, more experience, more capital, more resources, a bigger list than you. But you want to be king of the parrot talking e-book thing, right? Where you're teaching parrots how to talk. You got exactly no competition. You got none of these problems where you're going to have with the Internet marketers. I mean, there's so many real markets out there right now. And because email is so cheap and banners are so cheap, and especially pay-per-click search engines are so cheap, it's silly to go after the same old e-book marketing, money-making business. It's too hard, man. I mean, give me an easy business. And so that's why a lot of the techniques, and not just me, all the speakers are going to be talking about these techniques. There's fairly universal techniques. They're all how to promote real businesses. Not that Internet marketing is not a real business. It's just, man, if you're just starting out, you don't know nothing about the Internet, you don't know anything about computers, I couldn't wish for more pain on a person than trying to crack the code, 1 month into this whole thing.
Well, and also, I mean, regarding trying to get into the Internet marketing so-called business,
yeah.
I mean, why would you, when you're competing head-to-head with, I don't know, people
Jay
like
Abraham, Robert Allen,
Jay Abraham, Robert Allen, I mean, Marlon Sanders, I mean, all these guys, they're making money, and it's not. And here's the thing is too, is that and I've had this email conversation with several people, is that, for example, let's take Marlon, just a genius as far as marketing goes, but he didn't start out saying, "Oh, let me show everyone how to make money."
Right.
He eventually got to that point where he does have products and showing people how to succeed in their own internet business.
Marlon and I used to do consulting together
right.
back in, 1995, 1994. We would go and consult. We would do joint consulting stuff together, and it wasn't about teaching internet marketers. It was about teaching business owners how to make more money, online and offline. And he comes from that background, and so you're absolutely right.
So I think that's an important piece, just so everyone understands, that this is not the business. We're using businesses, several businesses as examples, but we're not saying go start your own internet marketing or consulting business or something.
We have a client, and I can't give his name or anything. The guy is extremely successful, and he told me recently he wanted to meet this big internet marketing guru. I'm trying to think if I can even give that guy's name. No, I don't want to embarrass anybody. Mm-hmm. But he says, I got to meet this guy. This guy is like big into the internet. This guy's marketing master. This guy is like the premier, obscene marketer of all time.
Right.
He says, and I got to get in with him. How do I get in with him? I said, what do you want to get in with him for?
Right.
He says, I just got to get in with him. He says, he's so successful. And I said, well, I happen to know something about this marketer, and I don't know if I should tell you, but I'm going to tell you. You make more than him.
Right.
And he said, really? And I said, yeah, you make actually twice as much as him.
Right.
I said, so he should be looking to you. He should be coming to you to find out what the hell you're doing,
right.
Because what he teaches is not what you're doing. And he laughed and said, wow, maybe I could be an internet marketing guru. I'm like, no.
Why?
You don't get it. I said, you're making like $500,000 a month. What are you going to screw around with that for? Just have fun. Just, you're running a real business. Just have a good time.
Well, let's talk about that, running a real, what we're referring to as a real business. I mean, right. we're talking about niche markets.
We're talking about niche markets, and we're talking about offline businesses that want to get online, and we're talking about pure play internet businesses that are started not as a guy, with the ebook. I guess there's been some really great success stories like Nitro Marketing and some other people that we know. You actually, you're just phenomenal. You just burst onto the scene, but you came to the party with some resources. You came to the party with some experience and some knowledge, and for most of the people who are just starting out, pick a niche market where you can cut your teeth and you can make a few bucks and see a profit.
Well, one of the things I think that people tend to do, that I think that's a big problem, which is one of the things that I personally made the decision early on, and that is you need to sell out. Meaning, here's what I mean by sell out, is that I had to admit that I knew nothing about the internet when I came on board. Mm-hmm. And I bought all your information. I subscribed to, for example, to your newsletter. I bought Marlon's books. I did everything that I needed to do, when I came on board, and I realized that, there's people on here that already know what they're talking about. I don't need to go and reinvent the wheel. All I need to do is what you mentioned earlier, and that is implement what they're telling me to do.
Right, and try different stuff. Test different things out and see whether or not they'll work for you. And it's funny, not everything works for every person.
No.
Because not everybody has the same degree of passion or the same degree of experience. But, boy, there are some people out there who, seem to break all the rules and not in the internet marketing space. There are people you've just never heard of them. And yet they're out there making so much money. Well, it's sick.
What would you say, Jonathan, if I had to ask you what qualifies as a good market to go into for anybody?
Boy, that's good. I hadn't really thought of that, but I'll just give you off the top of my head. It's not in my notes, Armin. A good market is a market that has passion or a problem, right?
Sure.
They've either got something that they've got an end result in mind. They either want to get rid of their something or they want to get something. Usually it's get rid of some health problem or get rid of the fat or get rid of, their acne or something like that. There's a high degree of passion to move to the end result. The next one is they are identifiable, so you can actually reach them. They're either in a general interest market or they are, targetable through search engines, or they're somehow lists or media or advertising available so that you can actually reach them. And then the next one is they have money. They have to have money. I mean, right. I can't believe how many people go after these markets. We talk to these guys, and they're like, I've got this debt book, and it's how to get out of debt. And I said, well, who's the market? And they said, well, people in debt. I said, well, how are they going to buy the book? Well, we take money orders, and we'll do COD. And I'm like, well, okay. So what's your back end? They're like, we don't have a back end, but we're going to sell 1 million of these $20 ebooks.
Right.
I said, well, it's a good thing you don't have a back end in mind, because you wouldn't be able to sell one anyway. I mean, what are you going to end up with if you have a successful promotion for debt people? Unless you're in the business, an offline business of knowing how to make money off of people in debt, and there are some very smart, very successful people like that. But if you're going after that market as a newbie or as a novice, again, you're competing with huge people, with huge capital, and you have no back end. When it's all over, you end up with a list of people with no money, no credit cards, no debt, and no ability to buy anything else. So, they have to have money, they have to be reachable, they have to be passionate. And what's really opened up a lot of these niche markets more than anything else? It's honestly, it's pay-per-click advertising. It's Google. It's FindWhat. It's Overture. It's coming up MSN. It's all the new pay-per-click methods and processes that are in place. And frankly, that's that's really what's helped people like Frank who want to go after the parrot market or whatever, any of the esoteric markets out there. We got a client, and I can't even say what he's selling, but he's selling a little book about a little pet, right?
Yeah.
It's not a dog. And so, there's only like maybe 500 searches a day for this particular, or 500 searches, that he can actually target and get to his website. There's not huge volume on his keywords, but 500 is 5 cents a click, most of the clicks.
Right.
And that's $25 a day, and he's selling maybe 2 or 3 or 4 of these books a day, and so his profit is between $40 and $75 a day. And is that a lot of money? Well, no, not a day, but you add it up over a month, and it's $500, $1,000, $1,500. And just like Frank, just like some of the other people out there, he's going to get 10, 20, 30 of these sites. What's so nice is once we were just talking earlier today, and he said, gosh, once I get this down, I can just do this with, I already got 10 other ideas I can do this with. And if they only make $500 or $1,000 a month, it's an extra $5 or $10 grand a month that he can start bringing in. And that's before he uses name squeeze. That's before he adds a back end. That's before he identifies scale. That's just like a little throw-together project that the pay-per-click search engines have enabled people like him to take advantage of because there's targeted traffic and they're selling it.
Right. I mean, so let's kind of recap those things because I think those are 3 important pieces that you just mentioned to the puzzle, which is to, 1, find a hungry market that you know exists.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of just identifying them. And the second part is knowing where that market is online. How the heck do you find them?
Right. How to get them to your site.
Yeah, how to get them to your site. And like you're saying, I mean, especially with Google AdWords now, I know many people are just jumping on that bandwagon, and it works. Undoubtedly it works. You can drive traffic overnight.
Yes.
To a site so like that, and obviously many of the other pay-per-click search engines as well. And then, but the third part is I think is really important, and that is people with money. Yeah,
they have to have a degree. I mean, we recently bought 25 million banner ads for like $4,500. I mean, it's an amazing deal.
Yeah,
huge, and we lost money. We actually lost about almost all our money. I won't even tell you, but it was an embarrassment.
Right.
And I was looking at these banner ads and where they were running, and they were running on all these MP3 music sites.
Yeah.
And so, I'm like, well, what are the demographics of these sites? And we had some general interest stuff. This was all for clients and things like that. So, it wasn't a big deal. I just went ahead and did it. But we basically had a bunch of 13-year-old kids. In China, probably.
Right.
And not only do they not have, $25 for whatever we were selling, but if they did, it's in yuan or some other currency. And I said finally to the guy, I said, well, who is making money with this? And he says, well, people are collecting free addresses. People are doing downloadable smileys and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And the only commerce things were people who are selling body-piercing jewelry and things like that. And I said, who is the demographic anyway? And he says, between 10 and 15-year-old girls and boys. And I'm like, oh, my God.
So you have to have the right message for the right market, in other words.
Well, and in this case, the message was totally off.
Right.
And, but that's really the key, is to find someone who has not only an interest but also the ability. A good example would be people who are, we'll just use people who are overweight is a great one.
Yeah.
Because people who are overweight, man, they want to lose weight, and you can approach them. There's almost two different ways. You can either tell them how happy they're going to be when they're skinny, or remind them of how miserable they are when they're fat, right?
Right.
And we, I don't mean to offend anybody. I got a couple extra pounds on me, so it doesn't bother me, but that's just the fact. You use a weight loss market. We got a client that sells information and also products. Guy just started a few years ago, and we have been working with him since, 1999, I think, 98. The guy did like $3.5 million last year on just like 10 or 12 different products. And I was just shocked. He has a good market. He has a good process. And when he implemented all the stuff, and we got him recently to use audio, so, because I like your audio stuff.
Sure.
We got him to add all kinds of stuff and name squeeze and pop-ups and stuff. But the guy's income just went crazy. But, he was starting out with a good market. He was starting out with a good process. And it's not like he was throwing tricks at a web page, hoping that it would work. He had something that was working, and he just wanted to enhance it. And that's really where the Internet is beautiful. Because you can go out there, you can basically, say $500. For $500, you can write a sales letter, create a little booklet, buy some clicks. You can even hire someone to write some of the stuff for you. You can use the Ask campaign with Alex, collect all the information what people want. For $500, you can pretty much launch a product and see if it'll work. And if you have a good, sound, basic business, right, with those three things, those are the three things that make the real business. Then those three things are what you can start adding those little enhancements to that are going to make you more money.
Well, I had someone this weekend ask me, they're asking me some questions about they're going to start an online business, and they were going to deal in the craft industry. And it was mostly dealt towards artists. And she actually answered her own question. She said,
right.
My market, in fact, this way she described the market. My market is mostly for starving artists. And she says, do you think that would be a good market? I said, well, I think you just answered your own question, is that these people have no money. So how do you expect them to buy anything that you have? You may have the greatest product in the world, and it's probably just a matter of positioning as far as really identifying who that market is. But if you're trying to connect to starving artists, well, you can connect to them all you want, but they're not going to buy what you have to offer. And
we had a client who came, this was a few years ago, and Declan Dunn and I were in a hotel room at a seminar. We returned this person's phone call, and they said they wanted to sell figurines. And I said, well, who's your market? And they said, well, like low-income people, like welfare mothers. And I said, well, I don't think you're going to make any money going after welfare mothers. I said, unless you got a book on how to get more money out of welfare, and you can pay me after you get it, I can't imagine you're even going to get any interest on it. And I said, nope, strike that. Welfare mothers aren't even on the Internet, so, forget it. And then he says, maybe it's an offline promotion.
Oh, he just didn't get the message.
Well, no, he got it because Declan cracked up and I cracked up. And I said, look, bad market, sell 5,000. If you want to sell figurines on the Internet, sell $5,000 figurines. Don't sell $5 figurines.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. But heck, by the time you're taking your costs, your marketing, promotion, everything else, if you're making a couple of pennies, you're doing good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's just amazing. But Jonathan, I know you're going to be talking about many, many different topics. And
well, now, do you think I have I'll make it real fast. I just want to go over all the different aspects I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same process that we put our clients through. We have a coaching club. We do consultations. We work with tons and tons of people. We review lots and lots of different sites. And basically what I see is deficiencies in 8 specific areas. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to address these areas. I'm going to give case studies. I'm going to give examples. And hopefully I'm going to change some minds and some lives there and really get some people running up to their room after the presentation and making some changes. So the first thing I want to talk about is maximizing the paid traffic to a website. Most people just use pay-per-clicks and, like 1 or 2 e-zines. No, that's not going to do it. Unless you want to be stuck in the low-income part of the Internet, you want to move beyond that. I'm going to talk about some of our sources and also how to find stuff. We're also going to talk about some of the maximizing the free traffic that you get. And we're going to also talk about search engines. I've got to tell you something, Armin. I owe you a lot. And anybody who's not bought the audio generator, anybody who's not gotten Smart Page Generator, go out and get it. We use Smart Page Generator, and a lot of our stuff is for clients, so I can't say our keywords and stuff like that.
Right.
But we just recently did a promotion, and we got about 50% of our traffic came from about 8 or 9 different Smart Pages that we had developed using your generator, the old-fashioned, run-of-the-mill, plain old Smart Page Generator.
Yep.
We got 200,000 visitors in February using Smart Page Generator, okay?
I'm working on a new version.
I know that this stuff works. I know that these techniques work, okay? We're also going to talk about the risk-free traffic of affiliates. And then the next thing we'll talk about is how to capture the prospects. We'll talk about the name squeeze and how to implement that. Another one we'll talk about is when Alex and I did the test and track teleclinic, we came up with literally like 55 ways to increase your conversion rate. And I probably won't have a chance. I only got like an hour and a half, right?
Right.
Okay, so I can't go over all of them. I'm going to take like the top 10 ones, and these are the ones that you can use, little variables. We call them response modifiers, little changes to make big results in your sales letter. I'm going to go over the top ones. Now, the next one we'll talk about is how to build a follow-up system. Hey, anybody on the call wants to make $10,000 an hour? That's pretty good, huh? Gosh, it's better than any job you can get. Well, if you want to make $10,000 an hour and you're using the name squeeze and you have a lot of prospects coming in, just spend an hour writing 20 or 30 little follow-ups, and guess what will happen? Your income will explode. Probably the best way to invest your time is to write follow-ups, and we'll talk about the follow-up system and we'll give some examples. The next one is creating a back-end funnel, something that you're brilliant at. Basically, a lot of people think that a business is, a single product. I have this ebook, or even if it's successful, no matter what it's about, they think this is my business. I sell this ebook. Man, we'll talk about multiple price points. We'll talk about different products and services. We'll talk about working your back end, basically creating targeted offers for people based on their degree of passion and their budget. And let me tell you, if you sell a book on something and you charge $25, you can probably charge $500 to do it for them, or if not more, right? So we'll talk about the different back-end funnel. We'll talk about measuring, tracking response, modifying the copy, and then finally we'll talk about another thing that you've done just so beautifully, which is automating the process by building a system using like the Michael Gerber from the E-Myth,
right.
What his process is and how he does it. I was very impressed you got back from Australia and you just went. And you probably can't even tell us, but I'm sure you made a boatload of cash when you were in Australia, not in front of your computer.
Exactly.
And that's because you built a system. And a lot of it is just figuring out who's going to do what and leveraging other people's time, leveraging people's experience. There's so many people in the Internet marketing business. One of the greatest reasons to go to the seminar, one of the greatest reasons, is if you got half an idea or if you got half a plan, I bet you meet someone with the other half of your plan. I bet you find somebody who's a webmaster who just needs a marketing program. I bet you find somebody who's a salesperson who needs something to sell. If you are a salesperson, I bet you find someone with some technology that you can leverage. The partnerships at these seminars is unbelievable, the potential for putting stuff together. And that's really the crux of getting this stuff on autopilot, starting to make money with it. And because once you're done with one, what can you do? Well, you can either take some time off or you can build another one. Or you build another. I build 5 more or 10 more. And then when you take time off, then you make a lot more money.
Exactly.
So that's pretty much it, what I'll be covering, and go into a lot more detail. I'm going to try to just slam this stuff down because there's a lot of content, but Jules and I are working on the presentation right now, and I guarantee if you just catch 10 minutes of it, you'll learn something new. But I encourage you to catch all hour and a half of it.
Sounds great, Jonathan. Folks, Jonathan is, definitely one of the most, I don't know how to say this, intelligent marketers that I know. And what I mean by that is that Jonathan literally does everything it's very scientific what he does. He tests, he tracks it, just like, actually it's the name of his product. He tests and he tracks exactly what he's doing throughout his whole business. He knows what works and he knows what doesn't work. He continues to do what works and then gets rid of the stuff that's not working, and he tweaks it and tweaks it and tweaks it. And that's why Jonathan's presentation at the big seminar is going to be so powerful for those of you that sit in and listen to it. And, just a few of the techniques, you heard a story about a woman at the last big seminar that just simply went up to a room and implemented it, one of his techniques immediately, and immediately started getting a 50% sign-up rate just on her opt-in page for her by implementing a name squeeze technique.
Yeah. I hope to have 5 or 6 more of those techniques, and nothing would make me happier than if people come down the next day and say, I did it, it works. We already made money. I already made my money back. I already got a return on investment.
And techniques, and well, I shouldn't say techniques, but stories like that are not uncommon at the seminar. We have a lot of stories. In fact, we have 17 testimonials just on our sales letter alone that tell you what kind of experience that people will have. We have people from all ranges, from the new person that has never been to a seminar, from people that are currently in business in some of the bigger businesses on the internet today, telling what kind of response that they've had at the seminar. And that was just, I believe that was on the beginning of the third day. That wasn't even the complete third day that we were getting those testimonials from people.
That's amazing.
It was really amazing. We had a great time. People learned a lot of information. One of the things that Jonathan mentioned was the networking aspect of the seminar. It's literally phenomenal. It really is, because of the fact that there's so many like-minded people at the same place at the same time. What happens is when you're at home, when you're in your normal day-to-day life, and you can't necessarily talk to your, let's say, even for example with me, I can't talk to my close friends here locally about my business because they have no idea what I'm talking about.
Right.
They just have no clue. They know I do something online. I make it very simple for them. I tell them I own a software company, and we'll leave it at that.
You've got a nice car.
I'll say that, yeah, they know I have a nice car and I live in a nice house. But all they need to know. But when I get around people that are like me, like Jonathan, all the other people that are going to be at the seminar, and I'm not just talking about the speakers, I'm talking about, the people in the audience, people that are working and currently working on building an internet business. We have things in common. You have techniques that you've tried. I have techniques I've tried. I have things that I want to market. You have things that you want to market. You may have a list, or I may have a list, and you have products that you want to market that may be appropriate for my list, or I have products appropriate for your list. I mean, joint ventures really do fly. I just came back from a seminar. Many of you know I was in Australia. Not only, I was one of the speakers there, but the key is that I walked away from that seminar with 3 joint ventures. That one of those joint ventures will be a multi-million-dollar joint venture. There's no doubt in my mind it's going to blow everyone away that when I release this thing.
Again?
Yeah.
It's going to blow us away again? Oh, man.
You are going to be shocked. You are going to be shocked. This is a good one. And it's all Australian-made. So but it is going to be, it's going to be amazing. But that's aside from the point. My point is that, this whole industry, there's not many times that you can get together with a group of people like that. Every industry, when you think about it, doctors, lawyers, every type of professional industry, what you would perceive in your mind to be a professional industry, has continuing education that they must do every year.
Yes.
Well, the Internet is the same.
You know what we thought, Jules and I? Jules is my partner, my inspiration, my love of my life. We came to the seminar, and when we left, she looked at me and she said, wow, she said, this is a real industry now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is that if you consider us, if you think of the Internet and this is for everyone on the call, if you think of the internet as being something different than the other professions out there, that's where you're wrong. And if you treat it differently than any other professions, that's where you're doing yourself a disservice.
Right.
This business is about as professional as you can get. This business can make more money than any other profession that I know if you do the right things and you follow the advice and the lead from the top people in the industry. And the top people in the industry are the ones that are going to be teaching you for 3 full days at the seminar. I mentioned some of the people earlier, and just to name a few, like Mark.
Yeah, name a couple, because it's the lineup you put together is just outrageous.
Yeah, it's we have Mark Victor Hansen that everyone knows is just a tremendous person, tremendous marketer. Everyone's familiar with his Chicken Soup for the Soul books. He sold over 80 million copies, and that's just in North America alone. 80 million copies. Who went on, another bestseller was his 1 Minute Millionaire that he did with Robert Allen. Again, millions of copies already in just a few short, actually I don't even think it's been a year yet. Slightly over a year they officially
I'm
launched
looking at it right now. It's a great book. And then you got guys like Yannick, and you got
Yannick,
Stephen Pierce, and you got different, there's something interesting. If you just to come out to Hawaii and spend a week with me, or go to North Carolina and spend a week with Armin, you're going to get some pretty good information, right? You're going to be able to pick our brain and get all kinds of stuff. But, everybody's different. And one of the things that I really appreciate about the speakers, and I don't know if this was just an accident or if you purposely did this, we all do pretty much, we're all successful. We all make a lot of money on the Internet. We all do it our own different way. And, you look at Stephen Pierce, I don't do what he does. I don't market like he does. But he's extremely successful. You look at Yannick, extremely successful. You put together really, they're almost like business models. Each person has their own little way of doing stuff, yet it's actually, they all follow the same core beliefs. They all follow the same kind of universal marketing truths, but they've personalized it in such a way that if you learn from one person, you're going to get a good experience from that person if they're intelligent and they can teach you. But, man, when you got, how many speakers are there, 8, 10?
I think there's 16 total.
Oh, wow.
Including myself.
Hold on. 16. You can get 16 different viewpoints from successful people, all looking to help you make money. And that, to me, is powerful stuff, because you'll find that, some of the speakers are like, oh, well, they're okay. But others you will just so connect with, and you're like, wow. And that's what's so nice. You've put together a variety of successful business models and successful people for us all to learn from.
And that was the whole purpose. That was actually my intent. So,
yeah, I know you did a great job.
The great part, though, folks, when you're there at the seminar, you're going to see the different personalities. You're going to see the different business models. You're going to see how each one of these people, why they became a success, because of their way of thinking, the unique twists that they've added, just like Jonathan just said, added on to age-old principles that continue to work on the net. But you know what? The bottom line is, on Monday, when you go home after the seminar, you're going to have to, still implement all these techniques, all these tactics. And we're looking at doing different programs. I'll be announcing in the next week or so, probably on Thursday's call, where what we're going to do is we're also going to have an additional program that I'm going to make available to all attendees at the seminar. That is going to be a follow-up with some of the different speakers that choose to participate.
That's amazing.
But you know what? Here's the deal, though. Success, people have always asked me the keys of success on the Internet, what makes it successful, what makes it doesn't. Well, the success on the Internet is like a recipe. And when you think about it, it's like this. I sent my wife to actually cake decorating school, believe it or not, 2 or 3 years ago, and that was her interest at the time. She was going to start a cake decorating business, and so we sent her up to Chicago to some Wilton School up there, which is the biggest cake decorating place around, and they're known all over the world. And she came back, and not only did they teach her how to decorate cakes, they taught her how to make cakes as well too. And one of the things that she learned was how to make the greatest tasting cake in the world. But one of the steps that she had to go through was the same for everybody. She had a recipe. She knew the ingredients. She knew the amount of each ingredient that she had to put into the recipe. And then it was simply of combining these ingredients in the proper sequence, and then by mixing it together and then baking it for the exact amount of time that the recipe said, she would have the exact same cake as the greatest chef in the world by just following a simple step-by-step recipe. What you're going to learn at the big seminar is the simple step-by-step recipe for not one, not two, but 16 different people that are literally making millions of dollars on the internet today, and you just have to follow that recipe. When you get home on Monday morning or on Tuesday afternoon, however long you're going to stay in Orlando, what's going to happen is all you have to do is follow the recipe, do the steps, take the action, put the right ingredients in, and then you too can have a successful internet business, and you're going to learn all those techniques at the big seminar. So again, my advice to everyone on this call is this. I'd like to meet each and every one of you personally at the seminar. We have some great incentives. I know each one of our speakers have some great incentives if you click on their link. And
Can I tell what our incentive is?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. For anybody that signs up through Cyberwave, anybody that comes in through our link, which is at bigseminar.com/capital Jonathan?
Yeah, /Jonathan with a capital J. Jonathan
with a capital J, okay. What we'll do is we're not going to give you one. We're going to give you 2 30-minute consultation sessions. You should know people pay me $350 an hour. 3 or 4 people paid me $350 an hour this week to talk to me. And I will spend 30 minutes before the seminar, and I will spend 30 minutes after the seminar. And the other thing is I'm going to give everybody on the call, everyone on the call who signs up for, I got to be careful, right?
Yeah.
Who signs up through Cyberwave, I'm going to give everybody a 1 million piece mailing. We've built an opt-in list of about, I think it's now up to 3.5 million pieces. And, hey, even if you don't have a great product yet, we can drive this into a name squeeze, and we can run the traffic in and see whether or not, we'll do a headline test or something, or an offer test. You could run it into an affiliate product for all I care. I mean, it's fine with me, but guarantee you're going to either make some money or learn something significant. So not only will I help you beforehand, we'll also help you afterwards to develop whatever ad it is that you want to mail to 1 million of our prospects. And that's something, if you go to Cyberwave today, you'll see that the 1 million piece mailing costs $1,000. That's what it costs. An hour with me costs $350. So we're looking at a $1,350 value, and especially if you're selling a general interest product or anything that would be appropriate for email or general interest media. Hey, man, this is a great way to either make some sales, learn something, or maybe just collect a whole bunch of opt-in leads. And you know what? I'm pleased to do it for you because I want you to succeed. And, hey, I want to partner with you. So, what better way to partner with you than to kind of show you how it would be after we've already partnered on a project.
Sounds great. It's a tremendous offer again. As Jonathan, you get 2 half-hour coaching sessions with him, plus you get a 1 million piece mailing. It's a tremendous offer, and again, if you're interested in coming to the seminar, again, Jonathan's link, just to make sure that I said that clearly earlier, is bigseminar.com/Jonathan, JONATHAN, with a capital J, though.
Yeah, let's make it complicated.
With a capital J. In fact, I'll probably throw up another page just to make sure without it as well, too.
Just want to make sure. And, I thought about giving, hotel rooms and stuff away. And hey, that's an amazing offer what some of the other speakers are doing. But I thought, do I want to help you save $350 off your hotel room or something like that? Or do I want to help you make $350 a day? And then next time you go to a big seminar, you can stay in a big fat suite. That's what I want to do. I want to help you. You can stay in a hotel room every day, with the kind of money that I think you can make, or at least a lot of people can make. I don't want everybody to think that, hey, man, I'm, going to mail my thing to 1 million people and make $1 million. No, it doesn't work like that. It's a process. It's a what do you call it, a process or a system or a formula or a blueprint? It doesn't matter. There are steps to success. And when you come to the big seminar, you'll learn them.
Sounds great. And, folks, again, what I'd like to do is, first of all, I'd like to thank Jonathan for taking this time out of his day in beautiful Hawaii to be with us. So, again, thank you, Jonathan, for taking time out for being with us tonight.
Thank you very, very much for inviting me and for inviting me to speak at the big seminar. I'm honored, and I'm honored to be able to meet everybody and spend time in Orlando.
Sounds great. And, folks, again, I'd like to thank you for taking your time. What I want you to do is simply this, is that, seriously, I want 5 minutes more out of your life. Okay, and here's what I'd like you to do: is simply click on the link that we just mentioned, at Jonathan's link, or come to the seminar. Click on the link that people referred you to, and simply do this: is just spend the next 5 minutes and just seriously just read the website. Let the website speak for itself. I think I pretty much detailed everything that we have about the big seminar on there. I'm giving away a car.
Yeah, don't forget the Mustang.
I'm giving away a Mustang at the big seminar. So it's something that I've never done before. I think it's going to be great. Someone's going to be, driving a new Mustang in just a few short weeks here. So that's going to be great. I mean, we've got some great speakers. We got a great networking event. Every Saturday we always have something planned after the awards banquet, which we're going to continue to do. We're still working on that aspect of it. And this is that we are going to just have a tremendous event, and I'd like you all to be there. So everyone, have a great evening. Again, Jonathan, thank you, and we'll talk to everyone this Thursday when we'll be talking with Alex Mondosian. Everyone have a great night. Bye-bye, everybody.
Again, folks, I know there's a couple people still joining us. Obviously, each one of the beeps that you're hearing is another person coming on the call right now. And, folks, you can hear every one of those beeps that you're hearing right now is actually a new person jumping onto our call. And as you can hear, there's a lot of people on this call tonight. This call is going to have, I believe, the exact numbers are at this point, but we're going to find that out. But we're going to have about 600-plus people on the call, probably quite a few more since the last time that I checked it. Actually, we do have quite a few more. In fact, we have about 725 people on this call tonight. And this call is a part of the Big Summit Preview Series. And series tonight, we're going to be talking with Jonathan Mizel, and we're going to get started in about another 30 seconds or so. But again, you are on the Big Seminar Preview Series, and we are going to get started in 60 seconds. If you're wondering where you are in the right place. Again, my name is Armin Morin, and we're going to be talking with Jonathan Mizel this evening about all kinds of ways to market online. And Jonathan's got some great information that he's going to share with you. I had a sneak preview he's going to talk about, and it's just fantastic. So each one of those beeps that you're hearing right now is a new person jumping on the call with us. It's going to be a tremendous call. Again, we're talking with Jonathan Mizel. In fact, Jonathan, are you with us yet?
I'm right here, Armin. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you great.
Oh, great. Okay. Got my head on.
Okay. Well, we're still getting a few people jumping on the call, so we're going to give them about another 15 seconds or so, and then we'll get the beeps toned down there.
That sounds perfect.
Folks, again, I just want to welcome everyone to the call tonight. My name's Armin Morin, and you are on the Big Seminar Preview Series. And, we're putting on these series, obviously, as a promotion for the Big Seminar in San Francisco at the end of this month. In fact, August 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. And we've really put together 13 of the world's top Internet marketers all in one place and at one time. And they're going to share with you for 3 full days how to market on the Internet. And we're going to show you step-by-step how to do it from the people that are currently. These people are all what I refer to as active Internet marketers, which means they're not they didn't just do something a few years ago and now just keep on talking about it for the last few years and not having done anything ever again. They're currently marketing products and services on the Internet as part of their daily business. They're active Internet marketers. And Jonathan Mizel is actually one of the people that we're going to be talking with tonight. In fact, he's the only person we're going to be talking with tonight. And Jonathan is a tremendous marketer, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jonathan because he's got some tremendous studies as far as people he's worked with in the past. And over the last 10 years, he's consulted and direct coached with literally thousands of entrepreneurs and direct response marketers, everyone from top 500 companies to small mom and pop business. And here's just a few samples of some of his success stories. He worked with Microsoft. In fact, they used Jonathan to get 75,000 downloads in 4 days for Internet Explorer 4.0. Again, very impressive. How a little-known search engine company went from $10,000 a month in revenues, and after coaching with Jonathan, went over to $10,000 a day in revenue. And also, he worked with American Express and doubled the response of their new members' email solicitation using one of Jonathan's zero-cost opt-in tricks. And we're going to talk about some of those opt-in techniques tonight on the call. But everyone, again, I'd like to introduce you to Jonathan Mizel. So, Jonathan, welcome to the call tonight.
Well, thanks a lot, Armin. Honored to be here. Really looking forward to getting out to San Francisco and meeting everybody. A lot of people don't know it, but that's where I'm originally from. So for me, it's like going home.
Now, Jonathan, I know when I got online, years back, you were one of the first people that I seen online that had a what I would refer to as a successful direct marketing website. And and the first thing I did is I saw your site and I subscribed to your newsletter.
Right.
And it's a great, tremendous information, tremendous advice that you give in the newsletter still to this day. And now you have a coaching club, and you have actually several coaching clubs actually that you're doing as well too. And one of the things when I was first got online that I always wanted to know about was where do people that were successful online, how did they start, and what was it always just roses coming up all over the place for you? Or was it, maybe a little bit more complicated? So let me ask you this one question. That is, prior to the Internet, way back when, if you can remember back that far, what did you do before the Internet?
Well, before I got involved with Internet marketing, I was doing direct marketing. And just brief history, I started out in the insurance business. And one of the things that we were doing was a lot of direct mail and a lot of direct marketing. And in fact, I didn't even think about it at the time, but we had one of the very first successful offline affiliate programs where in the insurance industry we had an insurance product, a particular product that only agents could sell. And so my job was to basically go out and drum up business from agents or affiliates, or in the case back then we called them sub-agents or resellers. And I got a real good taste for direct response marketing, for copywriting. The thing that was so exciting to me was we would send out a bunch of letters, and 3 to 5 days later we'd get just a flood of responses. We'd get applications for insurance and applications to be resellers, and people would call. And I thought to myself, God, this is pretty darn cool. We can just sit in the office and not even go out and directly solicit. We're just doing direct marketing. We're getting people interested in what we're selling and promoting, and they were coming to us. And a funny story was, Marlon Sanders loves this story, because I knew him way back when, at the very end of my insurance career. I would basically get into the office and spend about 20, 30 minutes in the morning drumming up business, calling agents and stuff, and then pretty much take the whole day off until about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, where I come back and follow up with all of the people who had sent business in. And so I really got a taste not only for direct marketing, but also for using the reseller or affiliate concept to make money. And after that, I started selling. This was back before the Internet, on the days of AOL and CompuServe. I started creating and producing direct marketing books, direct mail stuff, and I was doing some reselling stuff for other people. And we were, Marlon Sanders and a few of us way back then, and Declan Dunn, we would put ads on AOL and CompuServe, little classified ads, and get leads, and then follow up and sell our direct marketing stuff. But you made a comment, was it all roses back then? And a lot of people say, gosh, it's so hard today because there's so much competition. and it's true, there is a lot of competition, but there's one thing today that everybody has that we did not have back then, and that was customer acceptance. And let me tell you, you could not for the life of you get someone to fill out a credit card number on a website. I mean, it just wasn't going to happen. So all of our marketing had to be offline. We used to have to send out stuff by fax, and people would mail and fax and call in their orders, and there was a lot more work to do back then. I think anybody getting into the Internet now, looking at it, saying, gosh, there's competition or there's barriers to entry. Let me tell you guys, it's so much easier now because you've got automated tools and systems. I mean, you got to understand, we didn't even have autoresponders back then.
Right.
I mean, when we got someone wanted information, my assistant had to physically email or direct mail the information out to them. And so, nowadays it's possible to use technology to just generate loads and loads of customers, tons of leads, tons of opt-ins, and the processes that we have available to us today are significantly stronger than we had back then. So anybody listening to this saying, gosh, I wish I was around back then, you really don't wish you were around back then. It was tough to do business, And even though there were less competitors, there were far less customers.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I remember when I first got online, one of the first sites that I set up, it wasn't even on a secure server. In fact, I didn't even accept credit cards; I just accepted checks. and they accepted checks, and I took their checking information over the internet, which is a little different. But it's a good point that you make. That back then, there wasn't any example to go by. You guys were the example.
We just took the traditional direct marketing stuff that we learned from guys like Dan Kennedy and Ted Nichols, and Gary Halbert, and Joe Sugarman and Joe Kosman, and some of you guys are listening to those names, and you think those are the old dinosaurs, and they were even back then. Some of them had been around for a long time, and we just transfer that stuff over as simply as possible onto the web and onto the internet. And let me tell you, it worked. Strong sales processes, strong ad copy, quality follow-up, customer interaction. That's what does it. It does it online, it does it offline, it does it face-to-face. And the fact is, if you can sell, or if you've got a sales letter, if you've got a process in order to get customers, and it works, and you've got a market that, is more than a few thousand people, like, a real market, gosh, you can use this internet to just make a ton of cash. It's possible to go out, and we'll talk about it at the seminar, and I know you got a lot of people at the seminar talking about a lot of stuff. One of them is just the idea of using resellers and affiliates. It is so easy if you've got the system down, if you've got a good sales letter. There's a couple of ifs there, and I don't want people to think that they can throw a junky site on and start making money, because that's absolutely not the case. But if you've got a strong process, which is not that difficult to build, not that expensive to test, and not that time-consuming to create, you can make way more money than you can with a job. I know. I live over in Hawaii, and we're surrounded by people who wonder what we do all the time. And the fact is, we just do what we've always done. We find good markets, and we create great products for them, and we just put the two together. A lot like what you do, Armand.
In fact, folks, I was talking with Jonathan earlier today, and one of the things he said, he says, I think if it's at 9 p.m. Eastern, I think I can go scuba diving that morning.
and we didn't get to scuba dive, but we did take a nice walk on the beach.
So so that kind of gives you the idea of the kind of lifestyle that you can have if you follow the advice of what Jonathan has to say. Now Jonathan, one of the things that you have you've really concentrated and focused a lot of effort on, especially recently. I know you've always focused on it, but is the importance of having a list. We've all heard many people talk about, the importance of a list, that the gold is in your list, the money is in your list, everything revolves around a list. And lately, I've, especially in the past 6 months, in particular, because I know some of the numbers that you've mentioned to me. And every time I've talked to you, some people on the calls are talking about growing the list by 10,000, 20,000, and you're talking about growing at hundreds of thousands of people at a shot.
Well, it's true, but I don't want to discount someone. I made really good money having a list of 20 or 30,000, and
right.
Gosh, there's a great saying. I don't know if Alex said it or Yannick or some marketing person, not me. They said, a list of just 2,000 or 3,000 of the right prospects, you can retire on, if you've developed that list properly and you've taken good care of it, and you've got something to offer people. So, we've taken a slightly different approach, and you're right, I became absolutely obsessed with growing a mailing list and did everything I could to make sure that the list, and various lists, because we have like 20 or 30 different lists now, that they grow as fast as possible. In fact, every single resource of our company has been put into list building to the exclusion of other things. And, sometimes we wonder, gosh, this is so much work, why are we doing this? Well, we're doing it because when it's all said and done, I want to end up with a list of 10 or 15 million people.
Right.
And then once you have a list, let me just talk about it because people say, well, they say the gold is in the list or the money is in the list or whatnot. But I want to explain to everybody what it means to have a big mailing list. I want you to just think for a minute and imagine that you have a big, fat list. And let's look at the implications of what that means. Because, first of all, if you wanted to roll out a new product, you don't have to spend money on pay-per-click search engines. You don't have to spend money on advertising. You don't have to beg somebody who has a list to help you out. Honestly, all you have to do is just send a survey out to people. If you've got a list, you've got at your disposal the secret answer to the question, will this thing make money? You can go ahead and you can send surveys, or you can do questionnaires, or you can drop a question to people and ask them whether or not they'd be interested in a product that you're thinking of developing. So it's a really great way for intelligence. And that's like the least of it, Armand, okay? I mean, another thing is if you're thinking of rolling out a product, we're finally at the point on the Internet where, and I say this, you know, with just to be nice to people, but the truth is there's hardly anything new on the Internet. And if you're one of those people that should have something new or special or unique, you probably want to wait until it's a little bit more accepted because you don't want to have to make your market. But the point is that we're at this great point of the Internet where just about anything you'd want to sell, someone already else has developed it, and there's an affiliate program for it. And so rather than you going out and redeveloping the product and you coming up with your own version and making your own headers and covers and software and delivery system and thank you pages and all that stuff, it's real easy to just take an existing affiliate program, write your own teaser ad, and do your own mailing. And you can tell really quickly whether or not there's a market for this kind of product that you're thinking of developing by selling somebody else's product. And if you've ever wondered whether or not it would work, you just pull out your old mailing list and you drop a mail, 5, 10, 15,000 pieces, and bang, you're going to see if it works. And even though there's differences in sales processes, so on and so forth, and copy and headlines, I would never suggest that you mail an offer to your list that's not good offer. I mean, you'd want to make sure that you take a look at what you send out first. But the fact is, if you've got something that you think you want to sell and you've got a mailing list, you don't have to worry about development. You just find a similar product with an affiliate program, mail your list, and see what happens. And if you get a winner, bang, you can go ahead and develop. And if you don't get a winner, which, by the way, most of the time happens, I don't want people to think that, 9 out of 10 are winners. No, 9 out of 10 of the things that you do are not winners. 2 out of, what does Marlon say? 2 out of 10 are average. 7 out of 10 are blown. You're like total money losers. And then there's one winner. So this is going to allow you to identify your winners really quick. The other thing is, in the old days, like 2-3 years ago, it took 2 people to make a marketing party. It took a guy with a list and a guy with a great offer. Well, we're finally at the point where there's way more great offers than there are great lists. And the people who have lists, those are the people who decide who they're going to work with. There's none of this, I need to make money with my list, whose offer can I send? If you've been in this business for any length of time, whether you're selling to internet marketers or whether you're selling to, work-at-home moms or stay-at-home moms, or whether you're selling software or whatever it is you're trying to promote, if you're the guy with the list, you call the shots, okay? I mean, I've had many people recently come to us and say, Jonathan, I will give you 100% commission on the first 20 sales if you'll just please mail your list. So the person with the list is the person with the power. Make no mistake about it. And if you've got a list of people who are responsive, who you have developed, then you will get people coming to you with JV partners. It's not the other way around. I mean, the guys who are out there hustling right now are the guys who want someone else to sell their product. It's very easy to develop a product. It's much harder to develop a list. That's why everybody goes the product route, and they think, well, gosh, I'll just get Jonathan to send me all his traffic. I'll take all those names, and that's how I'll build my list. Sorry, folks, it doesn't work that way. Those of us that do have mailing lists, we decide the people we want to work with. We decide the terms that they're going to be on, and we help them, based on the fact that we don't want to give our list away, we help them set up their sales process. So, honestly, if you want the power, get the list. The other thing is, gosh, man, you can get so much traffic without paying for it. You can really, quote-unquote, make things happen. If you do have an offer, God, there's a great testing thing. You know, Armin, you do some split testing, don't you?
I do every day.
You do. So you'll take like a couple different versions of a sales letter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, the average way that the average person does that is they buy some traffic, right? They go to Google and set up an AdWords account, or they go to Overture, or maybe they buy some banner ads, or maybe they place an easy ad or something. And what they want to do is get some traffic in. And the worst thing about that is not that it takes money. The worst thing is that it takes so much time.
Right.
Because you buy an ad and it can't go out for another week, and then you run it and you only get 200 visitors, and that's not enough for the test. And so you buy another one, and, 5 weeks later you finally know which version of the letter works. Man, that's not the way it works when you have a list. You just put your A/B split test up using Pro Analyzer or Split Hit or some other script where you drive the traffic in and it splits the traffic up, and you can just keep going. The bigger your list is, the more you can mail, and the more money you can make, and the more intelligence you can gather. And that's critical, because you can tell whether or not an offer is going to work by how many people respond to it. And a large list gives you the opportunity to throw a lot of traffic at something quickly and know in a couple of days, a couple of hours sometimes, but, usually you want to give it 72 hours, so it's a few days, a couple of days, without a shadow of a doubt, sales letter A works better than sales letter B, and then you can, with a reasonably intelligent story, go to your own affiliates and say, here's how many I mailed, here's how many clicks I got, here's how many people went to the page, here's how many opted in, here's how many bought, and you can establish some tracking numbers. We call them metrics or measurements based on whether or not this offer is going to work. The thing that we like the best is that it's really like making money on demand. There's one of my friends, Stephen Mahaney from Planet Ocean, says, he's got this great saying. He says, whenever I need money, I just mail my list. And I need money every single day. So, he doesn't mail every day, but the point is he always comes up with things to mail and new offers, and he's created a process around his mailing list. It is the core of his business. And that's the case with all of us, with you, with Yannick Silver, with Marlon, with Alex, with any of the people, all of them who are going to be at the seminar, and any of the people who are successful in this business. They basically have a huge bunch of customers or opt-ins, and really what that is they've got relationships with a lot of people, and those relationships are something that they can use in order to turn that relationship into money. That's really the key.
Let me ask you a question on that, Jonathan. What's the? For example, I know many people talk about creating a relationship with their list. Just for example, what would be one technique that you would use to create a relationship with your list, a better relationship, I should say?
Well, it's real simple, and a lot of people don't want to do it, and a lot of people think it doesn't work or doesn't apply to them. But the tactic is amazingly easy. And all it is just sending on a regular basis an email based on what the person opted in for. So, for example, if you go to cyberwave.com and you opt into the page there, that we've turned that whole page into a form, and I'll talk about that more in a second. But if you opt into that, you're going to get a personal email. It looks like personal. I personally wrote it. The machine sends it out. But it sends it out every couple times a week, and it basically primes you to like me and to like our business and to like the things that we do for you. And the key is that we give away a ton of content. In fact, we've taken some of the very best back issues of our newsletter. People pay, $100 a year, and they have been for the last 10 years for this information, and we just give it away. And by giving it away, we really create a relationship where people think, there's a couple. One part of it is they think, gosh, if this free information is so good, I can't wait to see what the paid information's all about. And the other thing is you catch them at different moments. A lot of people think, well, you just follow up once or you just do one autoresponder message. By the way, I have clients, and they do I got one client, he does 60 follow-ups. And he's not going to ever take you off his list unless you want to get off of it. And he just continuously follows up. Every 3-4 days, you're going to get another mailing. For a year, you're going to get this stuff. But the other thing is, when someone goes to your website, and we all have to remember this because this is just so important to remember, it may not be the right time for them to buy, or they may have stuff going on. I mean, how many times, Armin, have you been on the computer and the kids are running around and the dog's barking and the phone's ringing and there's someone at the door, and, you happen to be at the computer, but there's this huge kind of explosion of stuff going on around you.
Yeah, quite frequently.
Quite frequently. So, sometimes you just need some time to think about it, or you just need some time to take another look at it when you're not so busy. So what email does is it gives you a chance to follow up with people and maybe catch them at a different or a better time. The thing we always say is, you just someone came to your website and they're interested enough to opt in, and then you sent out the follow-up, and at the same time their spouse came home and they got into an accident, and their kid came home and they got a D in their report card, and the dog just ran away, and the cat's sick, and the roof is leaking, and the stove is, broken. And so what do you think they're going to deal with first? You think they're going to go buy your product? No. They're going to deal with the insanity around them. And all of us deal with this insanity. It's not, even in Hawaii, we deal with insanity and stuff going on and distractions. And so email gives you that opportunity to maybe catch them at a different time, a better time, when they have more attention and they have more desire, and when they can focus on what it is that you're actually going to do for them.
And, that happens to me all the time, is I get an email about something, and, again, I get distracted and I'm doing something else. And I look at it briefly, and I say, I'll come back to that, and I'll look at it later. And then all of a sudden I receive another email, a few days later. Basically maybe rephrasing what the original email said. And I'm like, yeah, I did want to go look at that. And I'll go out to it, and then chances are I'll probably buy the product. So I buy just about everything. But
yeah, you do.
But the thing is that it's a simple and easy way just to remind people and saying, hey, I'm here, in case you didn't get a chance to look at it before, here it is again.
You know what's so hard for people? They think they need to write, they hear the term 60 follow-up series, and they think they need to write, 60 20-page follow-ups. No, some of the follow-ups can just be a couple of testimonials. Some of the follow-ups could be, haven't seen you at the site recently, did add some cool new bonuses. You might want to drop on back and check them out and just have your URL. Some of them might be long Q&As. Some of them might be long, dissertation-style copy or repeating the copy of the sales letter on the teaser ad. But generally, because spam filters have gotten so strong, and because the likelihood that email is not going to get through, you generally want to keep your follow-ups short and to the point anyway, because the whole goal is to just get them to go back to the site. And, sometimes we'll just do really short emails like, hey, haven't seen you around, or I don't know if you saw this new bonus report, but we just put it out, and it's only available to customers. Just a link to the order form, with a redirect or something. Nothing long, nothing extensive. It's just basically staying in touch with the customer and reminding them that they went to the site, they opted in for a reason, and maybe now is the right time for them to buy.
And that's, I'm on your newsletter list, and I recently signed up on my new email address to make sure I get your newsletters. And, just to give people some examples, one example was, here's some of the last few I got. It says, here's the subject line. It says, a fast-loading site means more profits. and then you gave just 2 or 3 short paragraphs and a link to go read it.
Right, because all I'm selling there is the click. A lot
Right.
of people don't understand that. They think I have to sell the product in the email. No, the sales letter sells the product.
And then the next email though was
sells the click.
The next email though was really good. It said, Armin, are you ready yet? And at this point, I'm like, okay, it says from Jonathan Mizel. I was like, well, what's he mean? Did I forget to send him an email or something? And so I read the email, and then it goes on. I've been receiving the articles for the past few weeks, and it says, am I ready yet to become a paid subscriber? And again, a few short paragraphs and a link, and that's it. And then then Jonathan sends another one out, and it says, uncover your prospect's secret desires. And then the next one. Now all the emails that I received. Now here's interesting. Out of all the emails I received, I have Norton's on my computer, so it scans my email and puts the little spam alert next to it. This is the only one that actually had the spam alert on it, which is really neat. In the subject line, it said 17 ways to increase conversion rates. And again, it was just a few paragraphs, a couple of highlights, and then again a link going back to the site. So for those people that are listening now, Jonathan's not trying to sell them in his email. He just wants to get them to go to his site.
Just go to the site. I mean, the site itself does the job. And I think actually one of them is I don't know if you got the latest one because we did redo this series a while back, but we actually say, look, are you ready? Is now a good time for you to subscribe because I can't continue to send you this free stuff forever. This insanity will eventually end, and you will either have to subscribe or you won't get these anymore. And so, we've created a process that we think is pretty psychologically compelling. And I'll tell you, since we rewrote the sequence, which I'll talk about at the seminar, but since we rewrote that sequence and we specifically went through the spam assassin stuff, trying to get all the words and stuff out,
right.
I mean, it has just been phenomenal. We have a much, much higher conversion rate from opt-ins to buyers than we've ever had before. And, it's great. And it was real easy, too. I mean, these were not that difficult to write. It took me about 2 hours to do. I think we did like 12 or 14 of them. And man, they work, And we also come back, I think after like the 8th or 10th one, we start sending you solicitations for other products, either products that we sell or products that we highly recommend. And of course, we use a Weber on our, on our e-zine, the main one at Cyberwave. We can go and do a broadcast to everybody whenever we like. And, if we have new products or if we have new things that we're trying to promote or we're trying to, beef up customers for a particular product line or something, it's been really, really effective. And that whole process came about when we made the commitment to grow the list and to really, really go for it.
And, and I think that's the key, what you just said right there, is that you made a commitment to grow the list.
Well, I have to tell you what happened. I was at a seminar recently, and no names here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to a friend, and he says, "Boy, you're the big list guy. How big's your list?" I'm like, "Oh, shucks. It's pretty big." And he said, "Well, how big is it?" And I said, "Well, our core list of Cyberwave people, including customers, is 30,000 people."
Right.
And he said, "Wow, that's pretty good." And I said, "Well, how big is your list?" And he said, 16,775,000 names. And I'm like, "Don't." Well, gosh, I guess you're a much better list builder than me. And he really he didn't put me in my place because he wasn't doing it to embarrass me. He was just curious. And he said, "Well, it sounds like you've made a commitment to build a list only the way you want to build it." And we came back and we developed like 5 new strategies, which we immediately implemented. In fact, we have a lot of sites and a lot of pages out there, and we haven't even implemented them on every single one of them. And again, you need to test different techniques for different applications, make sure that it makes sense, make sure that it works before you go off and say this is the way. But after looking at all the different ways that other people were building lists and really taking some of those that we thought were pretty close and just tweaking them a little bit, we came up with some processes that they were just amazing. In fact, I'll talk about a couple of them right now if we have time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the first one is, I'm going to talk about this extensively at the workshop, but let me just give you the basis of it now. And newsletter subscribers of mine have known about this for probably 4 or 5 months, and coaching club members have known about this for 4 or 5 months. So it probably won't be anything new to you, but we call it the name squeeze technique. And what we realized was when you have a lot of traffic going to a web page, you basically, every one of those people has an email address. And we were looking at sites that were using like an exit pop-up or maybe a little box on the page, and they were getting 2 or 3 or 5 or maybe 10% opt-in rate, and that just wasn't good enough. So if you go to cyberwave.com, you can see this name squeeze technique in action. What we did, and we didn't do it across the board because, again, we've tested different sites and different sites work differently, but on many of our sites and on many of our sales letters, we use this name squeeze technique. And basically, it's very simple. You are required to opt in before you can see the sales letter. And that's just it. Before you can go and read my sales letter, I'm going to make a valiant attempt at getting you to give me your name. And what we found is this. In some cases, depending upon the source of the traffic, you will go from a 5 or 10%, the percentage you get when you have a little opt-in box on your site or maybe use an exit pop-up, to as much as 75% opt-in rate.
It's awesome.
And what we did, now that's not, that doesn't happen with everybody.
Sure.
Our average opt-in rate is about 40%. But that is, 300% better than it's ever been before.
Now there's one side benefit that I know I've never asked this about this. Now, does that also, I would think from a logical standpoint that it would also probably increase your sales because you're saying a more qualified person to that landing page after they subscribed.
Well, we do, that's a great question, and I'll answer it for you. If people don't give their email address, because, on average, 50 to 60% don't,
sure.
We have an exit pop-up that pops up the page anyway. And what we did recently is we took a look at the people who opted in versus the people who bought without opting in. And I don't have the exact numbers, because, I don't know, it's been a couple of weeks, but it was at least 70% of the people who bought had opted in. So the answer is yes, of course, you get a much more qualified person, and that person is more likely to then buy. But the key is we will set up a follow-up system on our own. If it's a product we're selling, we just start the follow-up right then and there. And so every single person who comes to the site and opts in now gets our email solicitation. So it's kind of a double whammy. It's a qualifier because it forces people to give their email address before they can see the page. And the people who do are now getting my follow-up messages, which are, coming out at 2 and 3 and 4 day cycles, which are trying to get them to purchase. And so, it's been about, when we add this process to a site, and again, it depends on the site, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If it's a sales letter, if you're selling multiple products, who your market is, how much traffic you get, there's a lot of variables there. But generally, it will increase your conversion rate with a good follow-up by about 30%.
It's amazing.
It's unbelievable. And the best part is you end up with this huge list of names at the end. I mean, I've got one site that it is unbelievable. We use this with affiliate ads. I'm going to give you another technique, actually.
Okay.
And a lot of people say, well, I only run affiliate ads. Good. That's even better. Most affiliate programs stink when it comes to conversion rate. And so when we find an affiliate program we really like and we've got good source of traffic for it, email or pop-ups or whatever it is we're doing, or pay-per-click search engines, or, it doesn't really matter. What we'll do is we'll set up a name squeeze page, and before we even send them into the affiliate page, we send them into our name squeeze page. And there's something I want to stress to everybody here, because I've had people say, well, is that ethical, or is that legitimate, or is that honest? And let me make something abundantly clear, Armand. If you are the person who is sending traffic somewhere, if you are buying traffic from pop-ups or email or banners or pay-per-clicks or search engines or any way that you might drive traffic into a page, that traffic is yours. You own it. It doesn't belong to the site. It only belongs to the site if they buy. So, and then you still own it. You still own that name. So if you're doing like we've had a lot of people do pay-per-click campaigns, and they run these pay-per-click campaigns straight into the sales letter.
Right.
And we have seen dramatic increases in conversion. Instead of doing the pay-per-click into the sales letter that you're an affiliate for, send them into your own web page. Use the name squeeze technique. Write your own follow-ups. Write 2, 3, 4, 5 follow-ups on your own. And, of course, you still own the list. You can still mail to it whatever you like. You can still promote the heck out of it. But if you've got the list, you've got the option. And when you're doing promotions for other people, don't think that this is, I just got to turn my traffic over to them and I don't have any other choices, because that's not true.
In fact, Stephen Pierce, talks about this quite frequently, and he calls, his affiliate accelerated affiliate sales model, I believe he calls it, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You get the names. You, the guy who's the affiliate, end up with more names than the company you're promoting.
Right.
I mean, that's the way it should be, because frankly, you're doing all the work and you're buying the traffic.
Right.
And so anybody who's doing that, let me give you this case study.
Okay.
We have a program that we promote. Again, it doesn't really matter what it is. It's a general interest product, and we buy pop-ups, we buy banners, we buy email, and we all drive all the traffic into this page. And the page was doing really well. It got about 1.75% conversion, just about 1.75%. And we added this process to it, and we boosted the conversion rate from 1.75 to about 2.5, because we're now doing a couple of follow-ups, 2-3 follow-ups.
Mm-hmm.
But the best part is, I just checked the stats. We just topped out at 30,000 names. And this is not something that, I started 2 years ago or something. We just started this back in middle of April.
Right.
I mean, this was a whole new campaign, and we've gone to these people who've opted in, and we've sent many, many, many offers. In fact, off of that list alone, we have a 7-part follow-up that we go back to them and we try to sell other products. We give the first 2 products, the first 2 emails that we send out for the original product they opted in for. And then we just start the cycle of email where we start sending them other offers. And, we make an extra, I don't know if it sounds like a lot or not, an extra $400 or $500 a month
right.
off of one product. And let me tell you, you get 10 of those, that's an extra $4,000 or $5,000 a month. And so you're making your money selling the product, and you're making an extra $4,000 or $5,000 a month if you put 10 of these things together. And if you had put 10 together, you would have 10 times more than I do. You'd have 300,000 names instead of 30,000 names. So this is unbelievable stuff, and it's really not difficult to implement. The only thing is you just need to make the commitment, and then you need to think, okay, look at the user, follow the user, and see what they go through. Look at their experience, and where is an appropriate time for them to opt in. I've been using this technique just for about 6 months now, and it's amazing. It works.
So what we're getting, obviously for our own sales, we're getting a highly qualified person actually coming to the site. We're getting, if they don't come to the site, we're still popping up the site and back of it anyway.
Right.
When they leave. and then we have a name, whether they buy or whether they don't. Either way, we have the name, so we can market not only our own products but other people's products to them on a repeated basis.
Yeah, and you know what? I tell you, as soon as we got over that, the affiliate merchant owns the names, it just became abundantly clear. Everything got so much easier because I realized, I always thought, I'm like, well, gosh, if I'm sending traffic to so-and-so, then those are his names. No, those are my names. If I'm buying those names or I'm buying traffic, or even if I'm sending my own list, those are my customers, not his customers, not the affiliate program's customers, the affiliate's customers or the affiliate's traffic. And what a phenomenal way to just turn it around on its head and to realize that there's like just we call it name squeeze because it's like an orange. It's like you squeeze it and the names just squeeze out of them. I mean, they get all over the place. There's tons of them, and they're everywhere. And, man, that's fun because then you have the opportunity to go back. And if you were to do this, if you were to set up something like this, and then you wanted to start testing your own product ideas, you do it in a couple of hours. You don't have to buy lists or, beg other people to do JVs with you. And look, if you've got a brand new product, when you've got people who you want to do a joint venture with you, well, you are begging them because they have no idea whether or not that sales letter sells. So this just takes the whole testing phase out of the control of someone else, puts it back on you. You get the intelligence, and then the best thing is any money you make, you get to keep. You don't have to give it to somebody else who's quote-unquote testing for you.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, Johnson, because we're almost running out of time here.
Yeah.
You're going to obviously cover this, not only this technique but several others, actually at the seminar itself.
Yeah, and one of the things I'll talk about is we've built a list in the last probably 6 to 8 months now of nearly 2 million names, and we did it using co-registration. And so we'll talk about what we did. It's pretty simple, but I know a lot of people are going to say, that doesn't sound so simple. We developed dozens of partnerships with basically list builders all over the Internet, and they just ran their ad along with my ad, and, we just each took our own names. And sometimes we bought names, and sometimes we did joint ventures and stuff. So I'll talk about at the seminar basically how I've done my co-registration stuff, and really how you can too. And then the other thing I'll talk about is using name squeeze. I'm going to show a bunch of examples of these techniques in action, and also I'll give you the code so you can make your own name squeeze page and, set this all up on your own. I've got a lot of people in different industries who've used this, people who sell e-books, people who sell electronic equipment, people who sell coral calcium, people who sell supplements, people who sell, I don't care what they're selling. I've got a case study, and I'll put together a really nice selection of those so people can see the actual web pages, what they look like, and kind of get a feel for what works. And then on an affiliate basis, I'll also show you some case studies of people who are using affiliate type of stuff, and I'll show you an example that you can even use with Google, because Google, of course, does not allow pop-ups. And one of the problems people have had with the name squeeze technique is, how do I use this and still be listed in Google? And we've come up with an innovative way that's very easy. It's not too complicated, and Google does not have any problems with it whatsoever. And it's not using any secret pop-ups or delayed pop-ups. It doesn't use any pop-ups at all. And from our standpoint, it's really the way to go. And then I've got a bunch of other case studies and a lot of other stuff as well that I'm going to be talking about. How long do I get to talk? 90 minutes?
Yeah, now hour and a half.
Hour and a half. So I'll work a lot of stuff in on that presentation.
Sounds good. And you wanted to mention one more thing for your the people that sign up for the seminar through Cyberwave. Right.
Well, anybody who signs up for the seminar through Cyberwave, what we're going to do is we've got a couple of really nice bonuses, and some of them I'm just going to I'm not even going to tell you. There are going to be little secret bonuses, but the big one that I'll do is we'll give you a 30-minute consultation. We'll either do it before or we'll do it after. I want to make sure that everybody who's going to the event gets the maximum amount of value out of it and information and usable, actionable techniques that they can start working on right away. And so, we've already done 3 or 4 of these for some of the people who've signed up, and we're going to extend it really just to, I think, the first 15 or 20 people. So if you're listening to this now and you learned about the seminar through Cyberwave, definitely sign up through us. We've got some really nice bonuses, including a half-an-hour consultation, which will spend personal time with you.
Sounds great. And again, if you have, obviously in the email that you received from Jonathan, there should have been a link for the seminar. You can click on that and actually register for the seminar. But folks, we just spent really about 50 minutes with Jonathan in the past, in the last few minutes, and we really learned a lot of information from him. This one technique, if you apply it to your business, can really mean a world of difference. And building your list is really what you need to be doing. And no matter what you're doing, it doesn't matter what product or services Jonathan has mentioned. It doesn't matter. If you build a list, you have more power over your business, and you have the ability to really create income anytime you want to. So techniques like these and the basic principles like this is really just simply to get a name first.
Yeah. And you know what else is so funny is, we sure do spend a lot of money on opt-in stuff and on names, and we buy stuff from Lead Factory, and we buy stuff from, other co-reg partners and things like that. And I don't know, we might have spent probably $20,000 in list stuff over the last 8 months, 6 to 8 months. And that's not something that everybody can do. However, for most people, just the simple techniques like using name squeeze or just adding that to your affiliate promotions, or one thing I'll talk about at the seminar is how to get your affiliates to build your list for you, which is an amazing technique. But none of these things cost any money at all. You don't have to spend any cash. You need an autoresponder system, but if you've got, a one shopping cart account or a GetResponse or Aweber, this is so simple. All you have to do is just make a simple web page with the opt-in form, give a good reason, and I'll come up, when we talk at the seminar, I'll come up with some really good reasons, and I'll also show you why you probably don't need as good a reason as you think. People will tend, if they're targeted, to just opt in, by and large, those who are qualified. But this is not expensive stuff. Armin, the key is that I tried to make this simple enough today, and I'll make sure that we do it at the workshop as well. If someone doesn't have any money, if all they have is their business, and they say, I can't afford to spend another cent on this, that's fine too. I can still show you how to double or triple or quadruple the names that you're currently capturing without spending another dime.
And folks, there you heard it. Jonathan told you a lot of information today, but again, he's going to go into much, much more detail at the big seminar in San Francisco. And it's coming up very, very quickly. In fact, we are just a few short weeks away. In fact, it's just a little under 3 weeks now to before the seminar, and right now is the perfect time to get registered for the seminar. We have several hundred people already registered to come. You're going to hear speakers like Jonathan Mizel, Joe Vitale, Alex Mondosian, Stephen Pierce is going to be there as well, Carl Galletti, Kurt Christensen, Frank Kern, Frank Guerin, and the list goes on and on. There's many more. We have 13 of the world's top internet marketers that are going to be there teaching you for 3 full days how to become successful online. They're going to put it straight to you, how it works, show you how to do it, and really cut the learning curve as far as building a business down to really nothing, just a few short days. In fact, 72 hours, you'll walk out of there knowing exactly what you need to do to take your business to the next level. Or if you're just getting started online, it's going to show you how to take your business and get it started right from the beginning. That's an important aspect. If I knew all this information, if I started going to seminars when I first got online, I would probably be way ahead of where I am today.
You just said it, and that is a lot of people. We've had people who have been to good quality seminars like yours, and they hadn't been to one. They spent years and years struggling, and maybe they made some money, or maybe they made a couple of bucks, or maybe they even achieved a level of success. But it's like magic when they see the seminar and they see the people doing it and they see just a few of the techniques. just overwhelmed. And I mean, I've seen clients of ours, and I've seen your clients too, people who went to the last big seminar, just walk out of there with so much actionable stuff. You know, they almost don't know what to do first, but they do. They implement the stuff, and my God, they start making a lot more money. There's one other thing I want to comment on, and I don't think I've even told you this, Armin, but I basically don't speak at a lot of seminars anymore because most of them have just been filled up with really junky speakers, and you know, they're big product dumps is what they are. There's no content. I won't mention any names, but there's, you know, some pretty funky seminars out there, and they're unprofessional, and, you know, the speakers are disjointed, the philosophies don't necessarily jibe. Well, I know every single one of the speakers that you're having, and I know them all personally, and let me tell you, we all feel the same exact way about marketing. We all truly, truly believe the same basic principles work. And you're not going to find, like you find at so many other seminars, where this guy contradicts that guy, or that guy says never do this, but somebody else says, oh, always do that. I mean, I think you did a phenomenal job choosing the faculty at this workshop, and I can't wait to get out there and just to see what guys like Kurt Christensen, who, you know, I don't even know if people know Kurt. I mean, you've got a phenomenal faculty here, and you're really to be commended for that. And anybody who's going to this workshop is going to be very lucky.
Sounds great. Thank you again. Folks, well, you've heard it all, and now really the choice is up to you, so I'm going to make it real simple for you. Here's what you do next. Simply click on the link that referred you to this call, go to the website, read the sales letter. If you want to know more about each one of the speakers, or if you want to listen to how other people experienced or viewed the last seminar that we had, just click a button. It'll play for you. You can hear it right there. You can see the videos of the people that were at the last seminar. You can see the pictures from what we did at the last seminar, all right there on the site. After you look at all that information and you're thoroughly convinced, go to the bottom of the page, click the button, and register your seat, and we'll make sure we have everything ready for you when you get there. It's August 22nd, 23rd, 24th. And it's going to be a fantastic event. It was great last time, and this time it's going to be a whole lot better. And we got a lot of things planned that some of the speakers don't even know about yet. That it's just going to be great fun. The networking is going to be tremendous. We've allotted special time for you to get to know the other people that are going to be in the audience as well, because that's what happens at a seminar. Is one of the most powerful things that I've ever experienced at a seminar was the networking aspect, is you meeting other people that are also trying to build a business online, you meeting other people that are also successful as far as building a business online, and you get to pick each other's brains. You can find out what works, what doesn't. You can create joint ventures with people. There's a lot of things happen at a seminar, and it's all due to face-to-face, belly-to-belly contact, and that's what happens. And so you have the opportunity to do that at the big seminar in San Francisco. With that, Jonathan, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule, and, you know, I'm sorry, hopefully I didn't interfere with your scuba diving.
Not at all. It's a pleasure.
But again, folks, you're going to hear more of Jonathan at the seminar, and again, some of his great techniques like the name squeeze and many of his other marketing as far as email techniques as well, too. So again, everyone, we're going to be having another call this Thursday coming up with Fred Gleek. And Fred's going to be talking about product creation. We're going to be talking with him then on this Thursday. And, again, I hope to see everyone at the big seminar in San Francisco. Everyone have a great night, and we'll talk to everyone soon. Thank you again, Jonathan. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Armand.